is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Good Friday morning to you, Sam. How are you, sir?
Wonderful. Like you said, it's Friday. It's a great day. Had a nice short week.
Woo!
It's the weekend again.
Yeah, you only had to go to school 3 days this week.
It's
you
true.
guys had Monday and Tuesday off.
Nice little semester break right in the middle. Yeah.
Little gotta keep the troops happy if you're the college administration. You don't want to completely crush their hopes yet.
It's true. It was a very nice getaway. Got to see some family.
Oh, family. How's the
Yeah.
family?
Family's doing well. Got to see my twin nephews.
Oh, very nice.
1 year old. Are wonderful.
That's good.
Cannot wait till they're toddlers, and then I can be like, hey, come listen to Uncle Sam about all the things that your mom really is super annoyed by.
Oh, come on. She's got to keep you got to let the boys know about the sports, and maybe that'll help them sleep better. You know, like we're going to listen to Uncle Sam talk about sports.
Yeah.
Something's got to do it. Anyway, well, if you do like to listen to the show, you can get us right here on Spreaker.com and on Periscope from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live. You can also get us on Sports Radio America from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time on sportsradioamerica.com, live 365, and tune in, and also on demand on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com as well. When it comes to the social media aspects of things, you can get us on Facebook at The Bax and Grant Sports Show. Twitter, we are at BG Sports Show. I am at Baxter Colburn. Grant is at Grant's Rant BGSS, and Sam is Samuel_Wallace2 as well. If you ever have any questions or comments or want to get a hold of the show, you can also shoot us an email at bgsportshow@gmail.com. I forget who that was that I always like when their slogan that I was
Expedia.
Was it Expedia? Okay.
Expedia.com.
There we go.
Yep.
See, this is why we hire you for these things, Sam.
Random snippets of information.
Yes. Be like, I need a jingle from a commercial. Sing it. Go. Oh, okay. Sure. Here you
Okay.
go. Perfect. All right. Well, let's just say it was an interesting Thursday night football game as we want to kick off our show today. I mean, if you're a Seattle fan, you're happy. You won 20-3 against your division-hated rival, the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
But I mean, Seattle's 3-4 now. They're 1-3 on the road. San Fran's 2-2 at home, 2-5 overall. I mean, Sam, you had a chance to catch most of the game last night. I had some previous obligations, but you used one singular word that started with a U that really summed up the game last night. What was that word?
What was that word?
Ugly.
Ugly. That's
ugly.
what it was. It was uncomfortable. It was ugly. It was
a lot of it was just a lot of weird words.
A lot of weird.
It's kind of like puberty. It was just very uncomfortable. You didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah.
Seattle looked, unfortunately, like vintage Seattle. They looked very, very poised on offense. Their defense.
What exactly do you mean by vintage? Vintage is in like the last 2 years, because that's not very vintage.
I suppose.
That's like the new millennial.
I should qualify that statement.
Vintage Seattle is
Yeah, that's true. I guess vintage, in my opinion, is the last few years of the dominant Seattle team that we've grown to know over the last couple seasons. They looked very poised on offense. They were able to move the ball basically at will. They only punted 4 times to San Francisco's 9. So I know, like you had mentioned earlier, we saw a couple social media posts that said the San Francisco punter can definitely probably skip leg day today.
Yeah, no kidding. I've had a few of those games before. In high school, there were 2 or 3 times that our offense was just never really that good, honestly. But it was a few games where you were on the field. You felt like every other play, and just every punt was like,
you're there a lot.
You're feeling like you actually woke up the next morning on Saturdays. You're like, my legs are sore. Like, I kicked a lot last night.
Kicked a lot last night. Yeah, I mean, Seattle held the Niners to only 142 yards of total offense, which is just atrocious. And Colin Kaepernick was under pressure the whole night. He was sacked 6 times to Russell Wilson's 5, so I guess there was some pressure there equally both ways, but Colin Kaepernick just did not look comfortable at all. There was a lot of pass rush, a lot of blitzing, and you could just never see him to get guys that were open, and the Seattle secondary was definitely locking down on the 49ers wideouts.
Well, you're not going to win games if you can't complete passes. I mean, and I was concerned, too, because coming into this game, I'm like, you know what, Colin Kaepernick, he's played pretty well. Like, last week we saw him step up and play exceptionally well, and then his stat line last night is just terrible. I mean,
it didn't look great. I know one of the things that I really noticed about opening drives, and move the ball a little bit, but then of course had to punt again and again, and they just kept flashing to him on the sidelines every time he would come off or the defense would come on, and he just didn't look engaged. He just didn't bode a whole lot of confidence. He just kind of had this empty, vacant look, just sitting on the sidelines, staring off into space. I'm like, come on. it's a night game. You're at home. I understand it's a Thursday. It's not as exciting as probably a Sunday or a Monday night game.
Still, though.
But come on, your season's kind of hanging in the balance right now, and now it's going to be very, very tough for the Niners to pull themselves out of this hole, especially given the way that they're playing right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's take a look at the numbers last night between the two quarterbacks. Last night, Colin Kaepernick, 13 of 24 for 124 yards, sacked 6 times last night.
Mm-hmm.
He posted a quarterback rating of 68.8. Russell Wilson, 18 of 24 for 235 yards. He was sacked 5 times last night, but he did throw 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the lesser of two evils, I guess, is that Russell did end up throwing a touchdown, but neither quarterback played well last night. And the fact that everyone was making such a big hullabaloo at the beginning of the year with Russell Wilson needs to be paid. Pay that man. Pay. And then he did get paid. And so far this season, he has yet to show anything of why he deserved that massive contract.
Yeah, I mean, he was very efficient, obviously, of his only 6 incompletions. 2 of those were interceptions, and both of them were just really ill-advised throws. They weren't great plays in the defense, honestly. San Francisco was pretty much given 2 gifts. He threw 1 forced pass towards the end zone at the end of the first half, and then he chucked up a pass into double coverage later in the game. So just some bad decision-making, and Pete Carroll had said after the game that he was disappointed in some of Russell's decision-making, but overall he was very happy with how efficient the offense was.
Yeah, yep. I mean, speaking of efficiency, let's look at Marshawn Lynch last night. 27 carries, 122 yards, averaging 4.5 yards a carry and a touchdown. If there's anything that looked vintage last night, it was the consistency of Marshawn Lynch.
That was good.
He needed that game for his season last night.
And they came out running right off the bat on their opening drive, and only had 2 passes and ran the majority of their opening drive and marched it all the way down and got stuffed at the goal line a little bit, but they just kept feeding Marshawn Lynch, and you knew he was going to get in eventually, and eventually he just...
It's a little ridiculous when you think about it. It's just the fact that it was good. It was a great thing that if you're a Seahawk fan, Marshawn, he needed that game for his confidence. He hasn't done really well. He's fighting an injury the last few weeks as well, so... For Marshawn, that's huge. Fantasy owners, I'm sure, were pleased to have Marshawn back at his old Marshawn ways last night. I do find it interesting, as you mentioned, between both teams, though, last night, Sam, there were 13 total punts last night. 9 for San Francisco and only 4 for the Seahawks. San Francisco's punter last night almost punted for 400 yards last night.
Oh, my goodness.
Almost total of 400 yards. He punted more. Yeah, their punter punted the ball more yardage last night than the entire offense accumulated last night.
Oh yeah,
That's just sad.
Not even remotely close.
That's just embarrassing. So if you're San Francisco, Sam, where do you go from here? What can you do?
I don't know, honestly. It was great for them to see Vernon Davis get back and actually see some production. He led San Francisco last night in receptions, not in targets. Anquan Boldin beat him in targets by 1, but it was good to see Davis get back into the fold and really just give Colin Kaepernick another check down option across the middle and not have to rely solely on his wide receivers, which, quite frankly, are getting a little bit old. Anquan Boldin is definitely getting up there in years, things like that. And on the flip side, you look at Tyler Lockett, the rookie for Seattle. He looked very good last night. He had the one really nice 43-yard touchdown catch from Russell Wilson. It was a great play fake, and Russell just launched it. It was almost a touch underthrown, but Lockett had his defender beat well enough that he just caught it and walked into the end zone.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic to see, though, that we're seeing a rookie excel at such a high level. And I think coming into the season, there was not a lot of talk about how great he was going to be. I mean, there's rumors like, oh, he might get some good return time. And I know Seattle fans are probably like, what are you talking about? He's the greatest. Well, from a national media perspective, that's like us Packer fans saying, oh, Ty Montgomery is going to be the best wide receiver this year.
Give him time.
Yes, absolutely. Like, it's not that we're saying that he deserves it, but he's not getting a lot of national media attention. It wasn't that everybody was buzzing this year saying, Tyler Lockett. It was just like Seattle's got this really good return guy. We'll see if he pans out. And he's ended up developing into a fantastic wide receiver as well. So it's been a double blessing for the Seahawks, who, as we mentioned, are now 3-4. They sit in second place in their division behind the Cardinals.
Yeah.
If you're Seattle going forward now, what is your mentality since you've taken down a weaker divisional opponent?
I think they're confident now, especially in the sense that they were able to go down to San Francisco and win as handily as they did. Russell Wilson is now 6-2 all time in his career against San Francisco.
Wow.
Which for him, for the Seahawks, they might be feeling, regardless of our record or how we're playing, we know we're going to play well against San Francisco, regardless of how we're playing ourselves.
It's one of those games.
It's one of those games, and quite frankly, for the last couple games that the Cardinals have dropped as well.
Yeah, Cardinals have lost their last two
The
games.
last two, they dropped to 4-2 right now. The Seahawks have got to be confident now, having an extra 10 days now till they play again. They have a long week, which is going to be good for them to get some guys back healthy again. That gives Marshawn Lynch a little bit extra time to really heal up. I mean, he looked great last night, but can only imagine how he's going to feel after another 10 days of rest.
Well, take a look at this, though. If you are Seattle, your next 4 games are at Dallas, home versus Arizona, home versus San Fran, home versus Pittsburgh, and then they go to at Minnesota. Those next 5 games of the year, I mean, if this was a healthy Dallas, I would be more concerned. If this was a healthy Pittsburgh, well, they might be at, they should be at that point.
That far out, I think they will be.
Yes. So if this was a healthy Dallas, that game would be a hot ticket, but I don't think Tony Romo's going to make a miraculous comeback just quite yet.
I think that Arizona game is going to be key because
it's
in Seattle, and that'll really be a true test to see how Arizona has handled losing the last few games.
And that'll likely be the battle for the division at that moment.
At that point, probably, yeah. So that'll be a good game to circle on your calendar to really see if the Cardinals can go up to Seattle and get the job done or not, or if Seattle can defend the home turf.
Yeah, and Arizona's got an opportunity to be 6-2 going into that game. They play Baltimore at home this week, and then they travel to Cleveland before they have to go to Seattle. They've got a good opportunity.
Those should be 2 wins, yeah.
Yeah, but look, I feel bad for Arizona on a side note. Look at the remainder of their schedule. After Seattle, they're home against Cincinnati, they're at San Fran, they're at St. Louis, home against the Vikings, at Philly, home against Green Bay, home against Seattle.
They might have one of the toughest
schedules.
That's
a rough
just
schedule.
Hearing those teams, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where this Arizona team is going to end up. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the week about some of our buying and selling teams, and just I know Arizona's not undefeated anymore, but their name got brought up in terms of where we think they're going in a longevity for the season perspective. So, let us know your thoughts about that. Remember, you can get us on social media at BG Sports Show on Twitter, at Baxter Colburn, at Samuel_Wallace as well. We are going to jump aside for a break, and we're going to come back and revisit a very interesting article from Bleacher Report. You're not going to want to miss it. It certainly made Sam and I laugh.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Baxton Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
All right, good Friday morning to all of you that are tuning in. Remember, you can get us right here Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live on Spreaker.com and on Periscope. Good morning to all of you watching on Periscope. Remember, if you have any questions, you want to get a hold of us during the show, you can get us on Periscope. You can shoot us a little message there, ask a question, make a comment, or get us on Twitter at BG Sports Show, at Baxter Colburn, at Samuel_Wallace2. For any of you that are listening to us live on Spreaker.com, there is actually also a comment section as well. You can go in there and message us live if you're listening to the show. It's a little bloop, bloop, bloop. And,
send it our way.
And we'll get a little ping here in a chat saying, this person left you a message. And we'll be like, oh, cool. And then we'll shoot you a message. And then, yeah, it's a fun little time.
Yeah.
Woo! All right, Sam. Well, we found an article on Bleacher Report, which is fantastic. The article is titled, What If Andrew Luck Had Been Drafted in 2011? Now, for those of you that know, Andrew Luck was drafted in 2012, obviously.
Yep.
He opted not to come out of college a year early, which made a lot of sense. He ended up being the number 1 overall pick in 2012, and the Colts have forever been thankful.
Forever grateful. I
Yes.
think they really have been.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not,
Yeah.
right.
2012.
Yes, yep, exactly. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's Friday. It's been a long week.
Sorry, I just needed a moment to breathe. All right, well, anyway, so the article that Bleacher Report came up with is basically all the crazy what-if scenarios that would have occurred if Andrew Luck had not gone back. So if he had entered the 2011 draft, what exactly would have happened?
Yep.
And so we're going to kind of just take you through all of it.
Because it's fantastic.
Yes, yeah. So all of you know that Cam Newton was the number 1 overall pick in 2011 to the Carolina Panthers.
Correct.
But because Luck would have come out, the Bleacher Report says that Andrew Luck would have been drafted 1st overall.
Yep.
And Cam Newton would have found himself all the way over to Denver. He would have been ended up drafted by Denver, where he would have had to have gone through Tebow mania.
Yep.
And battle out with him for a little while, and then it would be kind of segregated into 2 camps: Team Tebow and Team Cam.
Yep. There we go.
And a media spurn, good versus bad, battle to the death, basically. But then obviously Cam Newton would win the battle because Tim Tebow, let's be honest,
is not a complete as quarterback as Cam Newton.
No.
So going forward, just so people understand, this article is assuming that Cam Newton would have, in fact, won the starting job over Tim Tebow. Mm-hmm. For all you Tim Tebow lovers out there, I'm sorry, but
Tim's a great guy. I love Tim, but
no.
This is not going to happen. So this make-believe world here, as we talk about what happened with this article, that what if Andrew Luck had been drafted in 2011, here on Bleacher Report.
1st overall pick.
1st overall pick. So the next scenario that occurs here because of this long chain reaction is the fact that, concerned with Peyton Manning's health and another can't-miss quarterback prospect, RG3, the Indianapolis Colts release Peyton Manning. They released Peyton Manning. Obviously, Peyton Manning had that neck injury and was released regardless.
Yep.
And Seattle, realizing that they need to get something going with their team, they signed Peyton Manning, bring him in, ended up winning the Super Bowl in 2013. And then
Manning retires.
Yep, Peyton Manning would retire, and then Richard Sherman says something while Kanye does. I don't know. That's other things are weird.
Another awkward segue.
It is. Some of these segues at the end of it are just a little awkward. Anyway, so going to the next part of that, so because the Colts released Peyton Manning, they now have the number 1 overall pick. They need to go in, or not a number 1 overall pick, but they need to make a draft pick for a quarterback. RG3 is available. They go out and they draft RG3, bring him in, and the Washington Redskins obviously are not able to draft him, and realize that he's just not going to be able to. They realize that he got. They kind of got screwed on that, basically, because they needed a quarterback as well, but RG3 playing for the Colts. They ended up playing the Redskins that year, just kind of running all over them and dominating them, basically, in a what could have been scenario, saying, we could have had.
And RG3 responds by passing for 322 yards and 2 touchdowns while rushing for 118 yards and catching another touchdown on a trick play.
Yeah.
So
it was not, and the references come out saying, he's the next Michael Vick, Michael Vick. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to
this next part of this article, then obviously you have to go to the Eagles and say, well, Chip Kelly's in the NFL now, so obviously he has to do something with this. Mm-hmm. Well, Chip Kelly leaves Oregon and brings his mad genius offense with him to Philadelphia, but wait, he needs a quarterback.
So what does he do? He brings in the previous year's 3rd round pick, Russell Wilson, into the starting lineup.
Yep, he goes in and brings Seattle struggling to replace Manning in retirement and Luck pulling too much weight in Carolina. Philly joins Green Bay as the class of the NFC.
If only. I kind of like this scenario. I really do.
I really do. I think this would be a lot of fun. I do think that if they had a Russell Wilson in Philly, that their offense would be just ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Because Sam Bradford isn't the answer. But another topic for another time.
Absolutely. So the next part of this article here is that Andrew Luck and pop star Taylor Swift meet as guests of Michael Jordan at a Duke UNC game after a vine of Andrew Luck lip syncing "Shake It Off" goes viral, which, okay, sure, I guess. Tabloids follow. They freak out on the field. As prolific as Luck is, he can't get the Panthers over the hump of mediocrity. He spends the first half of his career in the shadows of his superstar girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, Andrew Luck going to Carolina, I think, is just, yeah. Andrew Luck needs options around him.
He does. This article then finishes up with, once it becomes clear that Newton was Denver's franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future, Tebow then moved to tight end.
Ah, brilliant.
And the two, Cam Newton and Tim Tebow, quickly transitioned from foes into friends. Tebow becomes Newton's favorite target, and Denver finally gets to the Super Bowl, and the Newton-Tebow tandem shines.
Yeah.
They share MVP honors and make two-man appearances on the publicity circuit, causing Panthers fans to wonder, what if they'd chosen Newton with their top pick in 2011?
Oh, gosh. I love it. Well done, Bleacher Report. So let's talk about this a little bit, Sam. I mean, how do you feel about all of this? So if Andrew Luck as a whole had gone to the Carolina Panthers, he decided not to return to Stanford. If he just, playing all these what-if scenarios, how does that... what's the conversation about Andrew Luck now for Carolina instead of Andrew Luck in Indianapolis?
I still think Andrew Luck is a prolific enough quarterback to have done well in Carolina. I really think Carolina's defense has been better in recent years than Indianapolis's, so I think he still would have done well.
Even with the amount of talent that Carolina has?
Even with the amount of talent that they have, I really think he would have done well there. Yeah,
fair
absolutely.
Enough. So then, would you think that Tebow would make that switch to tight end?
No, I think Tebow would have just still dropped and tried to go into broadcasting. So.
Yeah, the SEC Network is grateful for him. I think he's a good broadcaster, personally.
I actually have not heard him broadcast at all. So
he's very, very knowledgeable. Sees the game in a very unique way.
Good. That's good.
Yes, absolutely. Seattle winning that Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. I mean, you knew that Peyton was going to end up on somebody's team when Indianapolis cut him.
Yeah.
I think that was a smart move by Seattle, going out of their way to sign him and then give him one more Super Bowl beforehand. It is kind of funny to see Peyton in Seahawk gear.
With Marshawn Lynch and Richard Sherman.
Marshawn Lynch is in the background of this picture eating Skittles, which is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
RG3 to the Colts, how does that sound?
I don't know. I kind of feel the same way about him that he, how he plays right now. I think not a whole lot would have changed with his career. I think he would have come out firing young because he was so versatile and so mobile, and teams didn't really know how to crack down their defenses on a mobile quarterback like that. But like anything else, after a while, defenses learn, they adjust, and he's kind of been phased out with injuries.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one. The one part about this entire list that I find is the most accurate is Philadelphia and Russell Wilson, honestly, because that would be just a deadly combination.
If they had that piece, that's what happened, when Chip Kelly came to the NFL, just the offense that he ran, the high-octane offense he ran in Oregon. It was scary. A lot the ways they could run up the score and
and he needs a quarterback like Russell Wilson. Sam Bradford is not the type of quarterback to do that. Even when Nick Foles was there, that was not the type of quarterback to do that either.
And I think Nick Foles was better suited for it than Sam Bradford has
been.
I
do too. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one.
But
I mean,
it's still not the answer.
Oh no, it's not. And I think that now that Russell signed a new contract, if I'm Philadelphia this upcoming draft, I'm going to be scouting every single prospect and being like, all right, who is the best mobile quarterback that's smart and
we
can
need
run
a quarterback
this crazy offense
that can run wide open.
Yeah, yep. I agree with you on that one. And then Andrew Luck going with Taylor Swift. I mean, the list is long for Taylor Swift's boyfriends, so let's whatever.
Why not?
You got to throw it in there.
He can take a turn.
Tebow Newton mania, it's not going to happen. Sorry, guys. All right, well, thanks to Bleacher Report for providing us with that article. We appreciate the work that they do over there. So we're going to step aside for a break. When we come back, Sam has got his Running 101 segment. You're not going to want to miss it. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Baxton Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio. Every Friday on the Baxton Grant Sports Show. So take it away, Sam.
First of all, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to my team for this past weekend. For the first time in program history, we captured the private college state championships.
Whoa! Congratulations, sir.
Which was pretty exciting. There was a 12-team meet. It's kind of like the pre-conference conference meet for all the private colleges in Wisconsin, and there were 11 schools there, and our men's team took home the title.
Wow! Well, congratulations, and I'm sure you carried the team on your back solely.
As much as I could. No, it was a great team effort, but again, couldn't have done it without any of our top 5 guys, which was a huge blessing. That was a lot of fun. So
well done. Studio audience is very thrilled by that. Clap.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So now, moving into this part of the season, actually, for me, again, sometimes what I'm doing in the season helps dictate my segment that I do because it's something that I'm dealing with at the time, but it actually really won't start until next week because this week is still a good training week, but the tapering portion of the season is actually one of my favorites because for as much as I love running and love working out, doing all of these things, nothing feels better than being able to bring your training back a little bit, scale it back, but you're feeling awesome. So the whole point of tapering is to you build throughout the year. You kind of build 3 steps, take an off week, build 3 weeks, take an off week, kind of get to this peak point, and then you maintain that training for a number of weeks. And then when you hit the championship portion of the season, you start to slide it back just a little bit. You run fewer miles, you run, fewer workouts and things like that. The workouts generally get faster, but they're shorter. And you're working on developing a lot of that end-of-season leg speed and things like that, but your whole base has already been built. So your endurance is there. You just got to kind of fine-tune it a little bit.
Okay.
And what's really great about it is it really starts to kind of shake all of the... I don't even want to call it rust because it's really not rust, but it's just kind of shaking off all of the extra things and really just, like I said, fine-tuning your body to really be ready to run competitive championship-style races. So the training gets a lot easier. Your body feels great. Practices get shorter, which is nice. The cooler weather always helps run faster.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I always look forward to that in football and soccer season because once you got past that 3/4 mark, you're like, all right, this is your body's usually at top spots, and you're like, all right, let's just have fun with it. And I feel like practices just get more enjoyable after a while.
It's true. Like when your body's fit enough to handle the workload, it becomes a lot of fun, especially when this week and next week I'll be doing workouts at speeds and at rhythms that I could not have done back in August when the season started. Not because I was out of shape, but my body was just in a different kind of shape at that point.
You just weren't ready for it at that point in terms of the longevity of what you needed to do.
Correct. So at this point, too, it's also kind of like that real nitpicky, scary area at times because you got to make sure that you're still trusting your training and not overdoing it.
Yes.
Because during the taper portion of your season, it's going to feel easy. It's supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel smooth and relaxed. During I guess I would call it the regular season of training, it's good, have your body run in deficit, run in oxygen debt, really run through the pain, get to that point of, you're tired and, doing a few more reps, things like that, because that's when you're really building the work. But at the end of the season, you don't want to be pushing your body that far, and it's going to take more for your body to get to that point because you're in such good shape to begin with now. So that's been fun. And at the end of the day, it's just really trusting your coach, trusting your training, believe that you're going to feel good and feel ready to run competitive races because when you get to those races and doing the workouts leading up to them, you're going to be like, man, I'm not really doing anything. Like this feels
this is great.
This feels too easy.
It's like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my day now that I just ran?
Yeah, it feels easy and it feels good, but then again, just stay hydrated, get your sleep, and then just trust that your body will be ready to run competitive races near the end of the season.
Trust the process, as it were.
It's true.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations on that private college championship, Sam. I'm sure the program is thrilled by that, and it's a great way for you to cap off your senior season as well.
Yeah, it's definitely made coming back for a 5th year worth it. So now we just got to go out and do battle with our true conference, and that'll be the real test.
Do you have a good opportunity to win this year?
The top 3 schools are so competitive. The top 3 are very competitive. We finished 3rd the last 2 seasons, but this year we don't have as much depth as we normally would have, but we have a lot more quality over quantity, I suppose. We have probably 2 of the top 2 runners in the conference,
wow,
which has been outstanding, but it's going to really depend on me and our other 2 guys to round out the top 5. I mean, the points are going to come from us, and we really need to make sure that we're doing our part on the back end to bring it home. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see who shows up on race day.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck to you, and we look forward to hearing from
how
that goes down the stretch. All right, well, Sam, also on Fridays, we also flip over to the Baxing Grand Sports Show Legends Fantasy Football League to see what is going on this upcoming week, the matchups that are going on, and anything else that might be jumping out at us as well. This week in fantasy football, I am taking on my wonderful co-host, Grant Coppersmith. I currently have a 4-1 lead over him.
Ooh, blistering 4-1 lead.
Oh, man, Carlos Hyde dropped 4 points for me last night on Thursday Night Football. I'm feeling good about it. No, not really. Doug Baldwin got 1 point last night for Grant, so...
Yeah, both of you guys kind of came out with...
That was just a terrible night.
So your game really hasn't started yet.
It really hasn't. I mean, it's like, we got spotted a point and 4 points each, respectively. It's like, well...
All right.
Whatever. I'm curious to see how Adrian Peterson from my team does against the Lions this weekend. I'm also very hopeful that Doug Martin has another big week that he had 2 weeks ago against Washington as well. So I'm hopeful.
Hopefully he can continue that streak coming out of his bye week. So.
Yep, exactly. So I'm hopeful for that. Grant does have Andrew Luck on his team and Todd Gurley, so I might have to deal with that. Rob Gronkowski's also on his team, but Grant has Gronkowski, but he has the Jets defense as well, so there might be some points taking away from each other.
He's got a couple guys that can really kind of go boom or bust, especially with Todd Gurley and Andrew Luck and things.
Is your game, Sam? You're taking on Matt Evans this week. Sam is the only 5-1 team in the league.
Yeah, alone at the top. We'll see how long it lasts. It's been a fun ride so far.
You're currently down 13-0, but it was because of Seattle's defense last night. But you've got a lot of good players this coming week, though.
Yeah, again, Seattle spotted him 13 points, which is good. I actually am thankful it wasn't more. I'm thankful that actually the 49ers didn't have any turnovers at all, which is
huge.
Great. They didn't have a whole lot of yards or a whole lot of points, but the turnover battle was nice that they were actually able to win the turnover battle with the Seahawks. But still projected to win by 6. Again, projections are projections. I really need Eli to step up over what he did last week.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't really need him to play well on Monday night because my game was already won, but it was nice to see Lamar Miller really step up last week, too, and have kind of a new set of play calling and a new offense in Miami is finally giving him the ball, which has been great. He posted his first 100-yard-plus rushing game last weekend, which has been great. And I guess the one kind of wild card that I have that I'm playing this week is two of my top 2 wide receivers are on bye this week, and Alshon Jeffrey and Demaryius Thomas.
Oof.
So I have T.Y. Hilton, who scored a touchdown last week, his first of the year. That was a nice pickup. But it's going to be interesting to see. I wasn't going to play Anquan Boldin, and I'm glad I didn't because he only dropped 3 points last night on Seattle's defense. I'm playing Stephon Diggs, a wide receiver from Minnesota.
Interesting, okay.
And I was actually talking to our resident Viking expert, Connor Christensen, about this a couple days ago. Normally, I would not look to the Vikings for a wide receiver to fill for a bye week, and I openly told Connor that, and he's like, yeah, I don't blame you.
Not many people would.
I said, but tell me about Stephon Diggs. I've heard some good things. He's a rookie. In his last 2 games, he's just gone off.
Yeah.
For over 200 yards receiving total in his last 2 games. He's been looking good. He's been getting looks. That's been the biggest thing. And this is my first year playing in a 12-team league. So
it's been a little crazy.
Our league is deep, and the free agent waiver wire is very slim. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of having to work with what you got, especially as we get into this portion of the year when a lot of guys start to be on bye, and it's hard to plan sometimes. You log on, you're like, oh, he's not playing this week. I have to find a spot for him.
Who's the 5th wide receiver for Cleveland? Maybe they'll play this week.
That's basically what it comes down to. So I like what I'm seeing out of Stephon Diggs so far. We'll see. He may just continue to play very well, or he may just...
And he might end up being one of those free agent studs that you're like, hey, I got this guy this week, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
All right, looking around the rest of the games, Corey Plath takes on Zach Poppenfuss this week. Neither guy has had a player go yet. In that one, Joel Wolfrath takes on David Kenyon. David is projected to lose that game at this moment, 91-87, but honestly, the way that David's season has gone for him so far, he's on a 3-game win streak. I'm not really worried, honestly.
We will have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, Tom Brady, Le'Veon Bell, Arian Foster, Mike Evans, Greg Olsen,
Danny Woodhead.
Woodhead. There's some
talent there. There's a lot of talent
he'll go places. He'll go places, honestly. David's got a very, very good team this year, so he should be on the up and up for that one. Connor takes on Chris this week. Chris has got a 26-18 point lead right now.
He did have 3 guys play last night, though.
That could prove costly, and he only got 26 out of those 3 guys that played. He had Tyler Lockett, Jimmy Graham, and Steven Hauschka Chris had all three of those guys, and then Connor only had Marshawn Lynch, who got him all 18 points, which is huge.
Connor's sitting in a good spot right now, and if Phillip Rivers continues to play and keeps slinging the ball like Phillip has been doing,
that man is really good.
Yeah, Connor will have a great chance to start to maybe turn a season around here a little bit.
Yep, Connor's at 2-4. Chris is at 4-2. Chris was the only undefeated team 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
And this can drop 2 now.
Yep, he's lost his last 2 in a row, so it's not looking good for Chris. But we've got we're halfway through the season after this week, so we've got another 7 games left before the playoffs. And then our final game is our producer Danny Hoffenstein against Megan Landvatter. That is a 0-0 game at the moment, although Team Landvatter projected only 61 points this week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what's up with that? Let's take a look.
Only
here.
61 points. Well, she hasn't swapped out Aaron Rodgers.
That
yet,
might be a thing to do. Yeah,
that's probably where all her points are coming from.
Yeah, let's see. Does she have a backup quarterback on her team here? She does not. Oh boy, she's gonna want to have to think about that. Maybe she just realizes that there's nobody else out there, and she'd rather just take the 0 from Rodgers.
You know what? There have been times when I haven't played a defense.
That's right, you haven't.
Yeah.
I remember that in the past. I've texted you, be like, "Hey Sam, you need a defense." You're like, "No."
I'm
worth
good.
it.
I'm good actually because I only really have this one defense and I'm not playing him.
Yeah,
so
no,
I'll take the 0. That'll probably be better than getting a negative out of it. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, good luck to your fantasy team this week, Sam. Good luck to all of you out there as well. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm looking to get back to my winning ways here. Got to get that 5th win of the season and catch up to you.
Feels good.
You're leading the standings. I'm the top of the East Division. You're top of the West.
Until we meet again.
Until we meet again. Happy trails to you. We'll be right back. This is the Baxton Grand Sports Show. Welcome back to the Baxton Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Sam Wallace, sir. It is time for our predictions for the upcoming week of NFL action. And there's a lot of great games this weekend that I feel, even though the Green Bay Packers aren't playing, which is always just a mournful time.
It is, but I cannot wait to perform my yearly ritual on the Packers bye week.
Yeah, you do.
Sunday morning, I will be watching the Packers Super Bowl DVD from the 2010-2011 season. It's going to be wonderful.
How long is that video?
It's less than an hour.
Is it on VHS?
No, it's on Blu-ray.
It's on Blu-ray. Oh, wow. Ooh. We had Blu-ray back then?
Yeah, I think that was it was only
a thing?
It was only like 4 years ago.
Wow.
Feels like forever ago.
It really does. Like
does,
4 years ago, let's see, I was a senior in high. Wow.
Yep, that was our senior year. Sunday morning, I'm going to be rolling out of bed and popping that baby in
There
and
you
get
go.
my Packers fix for the
Should
day.
like your face paint on and be like, yeah, and then should like tweet out pictures and be like, yeah, Packers win the Super Bowl.
I get goosebumps every time because it's wonderful. Like, I know what's going to happen.
You should live tweet the game.
I should, but it's still going to be great every time.
Packers driving, I don't know. This is a crucial fourth down. Oh, it's incomplete. The Packers win.
Nothing like seeing the injuries pile up and then
Oh my God,
watching
that
the
was
Packers
awful.
limp in at a 10-6 record and
Like,
then
we're ready. We're ready.
and then go, oh yeah, we're fine.
And then lose Donald Driver and Charles Woodson in the Super Bowl.
Who needs them? Apparently nobody.
They're just dead weight. Cut them loose.
All right.
All right, let's see here. We got another London game this week.
We do.
Bills
Yeah.
and the Jaguars. Might as well call them the London Jaguars because they play every other game in London, I swear.
I was a little confused because I was looking through this list to see, where each game is being played, like who's got home field advantage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Wembley Stadium. I'm like, who plays at Wembley? Oh.
Yeah, it's in London.
Got
That's also
it.
the first time a
Got
game will
it.
be live streamed on Yahoo as well. So you can go to
Yahoo.
You can go to yahoo.com and you can stream that game for free, I believe.
For free?
So Bills, Jaguars, Sam, who do you got in this one?
I'm going to go Bills. Their defense is too good, and the Jaguars are too bad.
Oh, come on now. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I'm an advocate for Blake Bortles
Yeah,
right
you
now.
are.
I think the Jags...
He's playing. I have an interesting stat to show you after
Do you?
after this segment.
Okay,
Yeah.
you'll have to show it to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got Jaguars winning this game. Atlanta at Tennessee.
Atlanta at Tennessee. I think that's still a game Atlanta should win, even though it's on the road.
Agreed. I definitely agree with you on that one. The Browns are at St. Louis this coming weekend. Browns,
Browns are in St. Louis. Got to go with St. Louis. It's at home.
Yeah.
The Rams' defense is too good, and Todd Gurley's too good. He's just going to keep running.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. The St. Louis's offense St. Louis as a whole looked fairly good against Green Bay. I know Nick Foles threw 4 interceptions, but against
Still.
Cleveland, I like this opportunity for
Like
the
their
Rams to get their
chances.
third win.
Yep.
Vikings at the Lions.
Vikings at the Lions.
You'd like to think the Vikings should walk away with their 4th victory of the year with Adrian Peterson, Teddy Bridgewater, and company, but they haven't looked that great this last few weeks.
Again, I would like to say the Vikings, but I just don't have a whole lot of confidence in either team right now. The Vikings have not won a game on the road yet this year, and we all know how the Lions have been. They finally picked up their first win
Yeah.
off of a very impressive performance from Stafford last week. So,
Well, Minnesota's only favored in this game by 1,
yeah,
so
we'll see.
I've got Minnesota winning this game.
Yeah, so do I.
The Saints travel to the Colts this weekend. That's a fun game to keep an eye on.
I'm going to go with the Saints.
Ooh.
I really am. They've had a long break to get to this game. I know it's in Indianapolis, but it's in a dome, which the Saints are used to playing in. And I think Drew Brees is going to continue to put as much of the team on his back as he can and just keep marching his way along to hopefully an above 500 season.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to actually go with the Colts on this one. I'm an advocate now that Andrew Luck seems to have figured out how to play football again, and he's back from his injuries. I think that this will be a good opportunity for the Colts to really get their act back together and drive ahead and grab their 4th win of the season so they can continue to be the best team in the worst division.
Yeah, for the Colts' sake, I hope Andrew Luck is feeling better.
Yep, I'd agree with you on that one. Pittsburgh traveling to Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City is just a hot mess. No Jamal Charles, no Jeremy Maclin. Alex Smith is their quarterback.
They can't figure out who their running back's going to be now.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, even with Landry Jones being the starter, I still have to go with Pittsburgh on this one.
Martavis Bryant looks good. He's looked awesome coming off of his 4-game suspension and then 1-game injury break. So he's feeling fresh. He took 5 games off. He's looking good.
You got to go with him on that one. Houston traveling to Miami this weekend. Both teams only with 2 wins, respectively.
Yeah, Miami has yet to win at home, but I think they're going to win. They're picked by 4, and I'm going to continue to go with Miami simply because Jarvis Landry, who you have on your fantasy team.
Yes, I do.
He is leading the NFL in red zone targets right now, and I think that will continue to bode well for Miami, as well as the new play calling regime they have set up, that they're finally giving Lamar Miller the ball and letting him be as productive and efficient as he was toward the tail end of the last season. That really kind of vaulted him into the top 10 conversation of running backs. So I'm going to go with Miami.
And the Patriots, it's in
Jets,
New England.
Jets.
I'd like to say that the Jets are going to pull the upset off and rattle Tom Brady and give the Patriots their first loss of the year, but it's in Foxborough, which is just such a hard place to win, honestly, so I have to take the Patriots in this
I have
game.
to as well. The Jets are 2-0 on the road this year, which is awesome, but again, if this game was in New York, I might be a little more willing to say the Jets.
Same here.
But yeah, in Foxborough, the Patriots, it's going to be same old Patriots as we've seen this year.
Yep, agreed with you on that one. Buccaneers at Washington. I mean, just whatever, spin a wheel, flip a coin.
Yeah,
don't even bother with the game.
If you're not really looking forward to watching any football, then don't watch this game.
Yeah, no kidding. I've got Tampa Bay winning this game.
Yeah, again,
Doug Martin and company.
Doug Martin, Mike Evans, I think they're wide receivers.
That guy that they drafted first overall.
Yeah, they have too much raw talent to not show up every once in a while, and the Skins just not sold. They don't have enough answers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. Let's see here. Oakland at San Diego.
So I'm going to go with the Chargers. Just watching how great Phillip Rivers played last weekend when he played up in Green Bay, throwing for 503 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Keenan Allen will stay healthy and be able to come back because he really was the catalyst for that passing offense. And when he went down, the Chargers did not look as prolific as they did. He was catching everything. So I think if he stays healthy and Rivers keeps doing what he's doing, if they can keep him upright, I like their chances in Oakland.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to have to go with Oakland on this one. This is going to be one of my 2 upset picks
there
this
we go.
week. I've got Oakland winning this game. I think that Oakland, with Derek Carr and company, is dangerous. They had a week off to think about what they've done so far through 5 games.
Take a week off and think about what you did.
It honestly comes down to that, and I think that this is going to be a rebound week for them, and we saw San Diego not have... I mean, yeah, their offense played well, but defensively they looked a little iffy. I think that was the defensive success for San Diego, quote-unquote, was more based around the poor performance from Eddie Lacy and Aaron Rodgers as a whole, not because it was anything San Diego was doing. So Oakland is going to be one of my upset picks this week. Dallas at the Giants.
Going Giants. I think the Giants are going to bounce back after the poor performance they put up this last weekend. It's at home for the Giants. And, again, I just don't see the Cowboys' offense really putting anything together of any sort of, yeah.
Any sort of anything, basically.
Yeah,
okay,
really.
fair enough. Philadelphia at Carolina. This is my other upset pick of the week. I have the Eagles beating the Panthers.
Going Eagles. It's in North Carolina.
Russell Wilson, man, he's the real deal. Oh, that's not it.
Oh, wait.
Different thing.
In an alternate universe. Simply because it's at home for the Panthers. They're undefeated.
Still not buying it.
I'm buying.
I'm not buying what
All
they're
right,
selling.
That's fine.
Not doing it.
That's fine.
Go Eagles. Woo! Give me a
go.
cheesesteak, somebody.
Let's go Panthers. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, Ravens and the Cardinals. What do you got?
I have Cardinals by a long shot in this game. I don't think it's going to be close. The Cardinals are picked by 10 on ESPN, and that might as well be a mile for, I think, as bad as the Ravens are going to get beat. Carson Palmer is picked as the number 1 fantasy quarterback heading into this weekend. And the Ravens secondary has been atrocious.
Yep, agreed with you.
It's in Arizona. There are just too many factors going against the Ravens, and the Cardinals are definitely going to want to bounce back from their consecutive losses, and they'll have a little more motivation now seeing how well that the Seahawks have been playing. So I think the Cardinals to pretty much just manhandle the Ravens.
All right, and the 4 teams on bye this week are the Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, Denver Broncos, and Green Bay Packers as well. When we come back, we're going to chat about the Packers just a little bit and some of the things to think about over the first 6 games and what they can do with the rest of their season as well. We'll be right back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. All right, as we get ready to wrap up today's show, special thanks to Sam Wallace for his co-hosting today on the show, as he does every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Before we take off today, I want to take a quick look at the Green Bay Packers, as we are based in the Milwaukee area, so it's only fair that we give the hometown team a little bit of love. Every once in a while, sometimes a little bit more than other teams, but what are you going to do? When you have a majority of your listeners as Packer fans, you got to cater to the masses at some point in time. So just a few things that I want to hit on as the Packers are going into their bye week this time. Obviously, the team is fighting injuries. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is one of those things that, as Packer fans, you knew coming into the season, you're like, well, Jordy Nelson's hurt, so that is going to hurt the offensive production. There's been a few other guys that have gone down with injuries as well. But so far, Green Bay, they've done enough. That's the honest thing, is that they've done enough to be successful. Their defense is probably the biggest surprise out of anything so far this season. And I know I received a little bit of backlash from my talking on, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, in terms of my views on the defense, because the defense is playing well in terms of statistics, because they are the third best defense in the NFL in terms of points against. They're only allowing 16.8 points a game, which is huge. That's absolutely huge. The least amount of points they've allowed in a game is 3. The most points they've allowed in a game is 28, which is to the Chiefs, which is really weird, but that's Green Bay for you. So let's look at it. The first 6 games of the year, they beat the Bears 31-23. They beat Seattle 27-17. They beat Kansas City 38-28. They beat the 49ers 17-3. They beat the Rams 24-10, and they beat the Chargers 27-20. So far, the Packers, from a all-team ranking perspective, they are the 20th best passing offense, averaging 236 yards a game, which is apparently some people are okay with that, and I have a major issue with that, because when Aaron Rodgers, who was the MVP of the NFL last year, is your quarterback, there's no reason that your team should be finishing outside of the top 10 in passing yards a game. And I know some of you are saying, well, Jordy Nelson's hurt. Well, Devontae Adams has been hurt. Sure, but there's been multiple different guys that have stepped up this year to fill in those vacancies. Ty Montgomery, the rookie's done a fantastic job. James Jones is brought in for this very reason, and we've seen nothing but great production out of him so far this season. Randall Cobb has been battling an injury, but still playing fairly well. There's nothing you can really say negative about this offense, just the fact that the receivers are just not producing at a high level. And I know that Jordy Nelson being gone is a reason for that, but there's enough guys there that there should not be a significant drop-off in the amount of talent and the amount of yards that are being accumulated. Because Ty Montgomery, Richard Rodgers, Randall Cobb, James Jones, Eddie Lacy when he's healthy. Jeff Janis has seen the ball a little bit so far. Austin Perillo, Corliss has been meh. James Starks has been fairly active out of the backfield as well. I mean, Aaron Rodgers' numbers through the first 6 games are not terrible. I mean, he's thrown 15 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. That's not bad at all. He's got a 115.9 quarterback rating, and he's thrown for almost 1,500 yards. Like, he's looking good. It's just the fact that he hasn't been producing high passing numbers every game, which you can make arguments for as well. His offensive line has been a little shady this year. That game against San Diego, he just looked uncomfortable the whole game. He underthrew a lot of his passes. And Rodgers has had 2 kind of iffy games this season, and I was talking to Corey Plath, one of our good friends of the show who comes on every once in a while. He's also one of our marketing guys. I was talking to him last week, and I said, the reason that, I said that Aaron Rodgers is guaranteed 1 bad game a year. It's been a tradition. Last year for the Green Bay Packers, it was when they played Buffalo. This season so far, hopefully he doesn't have any more, it was 2 weeks ago when they played the Rams. Rodgers obviously was picked off twice. For those of you that have checked the stats, you know that he was picked off 2 different times. I'm sure you heard about the mass chaos. Like, Aaron Rodgers was intercepted at home. Holy cow. Hell is basically freezing over. It's basically how people treated it, which was ridiculous, by the way. You guys have better things to do than pull stats and freak out about that. Anyway, do I think that Aaron Rodgers in the offense is struggling? I think it's more so the fact that the running game is struggling. And say what you will, but, James Starks has been fantastic. Yes, that's great, but this is not supposed to be James Starks doing well. It's supposed to be about Eddie Lacy, and I know he's had a bit of an injury with his ankle, but even still, Eddie Lacy's had 67 carries for 260 yards. He's averaging under 4 yards a carry. He's only got 1 rushing touchdown this year and 1 fumble. That type of production not only is making fantasy owners enraged and upset and mad, but it's also making Green Bay Packer fans upset because, well, why did we draft Eddie Lacy 3 years ago and he's not doing anything? He's not producing for us. He's not showcasing what he did at Alabama. He's just had a really poor season overall, a poor showing. And I get that. I really do. And it's hard because Aaron Rodgers is the third leading rusher on the team through 6 games, and he's only 126 yards behind. Break out of the pocket, Michael Vick. I'm going to juke 5 defenders and get upfield and go ham. That's not how he plays his game. He's very mobile. He's had a lot of rushes over 10 yards this season, but it's not, your quarterback should not be in the conversation for leading rusher. So James Starks needs to find a little bit of motivation to continue to produce at a high level because it's apparent that Eddie Lacy is not going to be having the best season going forward, which is unfortunate because Eddie Lacy is a good running back, and he just has not had a good productive year this year. And that's going to be something that's going to bother Green Bay, I feel, going down the stretch. You look ahead to their next few games for Green Bay. When they come back off their bye week, they travel to Denver and then to Carolina. 2 undefeated teams right now in the NFL that really will push Green Bay to their limits. And I know that Peyton Manning has not been playing well, but somehow, some way, Packer fans know this all too well. When you are going into a game knowing that, oh, well, this should be a game that we should win, Peyton Manning's been playing bad. Well, that's what they probably said about the game against the Rams. It's probably what they said about the game against the Chargers. We should win this game, no problem. Phillip Rivers throws for 503 yards on the Packers. Nick Foles, I know he threw 4 interceptions, but that was more so the fact that his receivers just didn't have a good game as well. And there were some great individual efforts. But if there ever were a game that Peyton Manning were to remember how to be his old Peyton Manning self, this game on Sunday Night Football on November 1st is going to be the game that we're going to see that happen. And it's not me trying to say, well, Green Bay is bad. It's not me trying to say that. It's tradition. It's one of those things that Packer fans know all too well, is that big games usually go well for the Packers, but when you're facing a slumping quarterback, unless it's Jay Cutler, more than likely that opposing team's quarterback finds a way to have a fantastic game. And Peyton Manning is on a bye week this week, and Rodgers is on a bye week this week as well, so both of those guys are going to be very thrilled to get a little bit of extra rest time, I'm sure Peyton Manning especially. And then they go to Carolina as well on November 8th, which is another game that could not only show the world how good Green Bay is as a whole, but also more so prove just how good Carolina is. And with the way that they've been playing with an undefeated season so far, people have questioned the validity of just how actually good this team is. So looking forward for Green Bay, they've got the next 2 games are going to be difficult. That's the easy way to put it. They're going to be difficult for them, but they've got all the right tools. Their defense is going to do enough to keep them in the games. Offensively, that needs to be better, though. Aaron Rodgers and company need to be better. And that is something that really should be addressed during this bye week. Coach Mike McCarthy, Tom Clemens, everybody needs to get together and say, all right, offense, how are we going to do better? How are we going to be the best NFL team, and how are we going to be the continued Super Bowl favorite going forward? So if you're Green Bay, don't worry about it. I mean, you are on the right track. You've got the first 6 games of this year. The first 6 games of the year have been crucial, and there is a great opportunity for you to continue to find the success that you've been able to amass through the first 6 games. So Aaron Rodgers, just take a bye week, relax, hang out, watch a lot of film, and come back and kick Denver's butt on Sunday Night Football. That's the best way to put it, honestly. To put it in layman's terms, just go out and just have some fun and kick some butt. All right, well, thanks again for tuning in to another exciting edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. We appreciate everybody that's tuned in this entire week. We've had a lot of great guests on, a lot of great discussion as well, and we will look forward to seeing all of you again next week. Remember, you can get us right here Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live on Spreaker.com. Also from 11 to 1 p.m. Central on SportsRadioAmerica.com, live 365, and tune in. And on demand anytime you want on your smartphone, desktop, computer, iPad, just about anything. on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com as well. On social media, we are on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show, and we are also on Twitter at BG Sports Show, at Baxter Colburn, at Grant's Rant BGSS, and Samuel_Wallace2 on Instagram. We are also BG Sports Show. Shoot us an email anytime you want at bgsportshow@gmail.com as well. Special thanks to Sam Wallace for his continued co-hosting this week as well, and to our producer Danny Hoffenstein as well. I'm Baxter Colburn. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you all again on Monday. Have a good one and enjoy that football. See ya!